This podcast is produced by Northwest Michigan Community Action Agency. The Collective Us, an NMCAA podcast, focuses on inspiring you through stories of those we've helped through our programming or by linking local resources to community members in need. Join us as we learn about the programs offered through NMCAA and how we touch people's lives every day. Thank you for joining us on The Collective Us. I'm Erica Austin.
And I'm Ryan Buck. As always, we think we have a great show for you today.
Yes, and today I'd like to put a focus on one of our programs that's essential in helping people. Our VITA, or Volunteer Income Tax Assistance program, is responsible for putting almost $7 million in credits and refunds back into our local economy by helping people file their taxes last year alone. VITA has been around since 1969, and according to IRS.gov, the IRS manages VITA, but the VITA sites are operated by IRS partners like NMCAA across the nation and staffed by volunteers who want to make a difference in their communities. The IRS-certified volunteers who provide tax counseling are often retired individuals associated with nonprofit organizations that receive grants from the IRS.
You know what? That was a lot. Hopefully we can give everybody a second to take that in. You talked about partners. Again, that's a recurring theme here.
Yes.
That's volunteers, retired individuals.
This jumped right off the bat.
Yeah, this is very NMCAA. I could tell this is going to be good already. So let's introduce our guests. First, we have Karen Leppeck, quality reviewer and site coordinator with NMCAA's Homeownership and Financial Empowerment Center. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Also in studio, we have Larry Winters, who is a tax program volunteer for NMCAA. Thanks for joining us.
And thanks for having me.
I also want to make this episode a little bit fun, so stick around to find out some interesting facts about the IRS and taxes throughout this episode. Our first tax fact of the day is that the tax code is over 70,000 pages long. You can find it online.
The tax code?
That's what I found.
Oh boy,
You can find it online for anybody who wishes to read it in its entirety.
That's awesome.
I won't be doing that. Just a little. So, well, this isn't surprising because we know the IRS is very thorough, but there are also more than 800 types of tax forms and schedules alone.
Wow.
What do you think of that, Ryan?
Way to kick off the episode with a bang, Erica. She always brings the facts. I love the dates. You know, I love the dates. Karen, Larry, you've read all 70,000 pages? Larry, I'm guessing you have, the way you smiled.
I personally haven't, but Larry's much closer than I am.
Wow.
No, to your point about 800 different forms and things like that, we focus on individual tax returns, not businesses or corporations or anything like that.
That's a great point.
We do individual tax returns for lower and middle income folks. Yes, some of them can be more complicated than others, but we probably are narrowed down to 4,000 or 5,000 pages.
Whoa. Okay, that's good. That makes me feel a little less stressed.
Take the pressure off.
Karen, so we got a little gateway to the nitty-gritty, so let's get into it. Can you tell us about your job duties at NMCAA? What are some of the day-to-days for you?
The day-to-days. As a quality reviewer, I look over the work that the preparers do to catch any typos or any other mistakes that might be in there. So I'm reviewing their work to make sure we've got it all done correctly, and or just looking at stuff and then bouncing it off somebody like Larry, who's been with us for such a long time, to say, does this look right to you or not? As a site coordinator, I'm kind of making sure that some of the stuff is being handled and, identifying that returns and information has to be confidential, has to be in locked file cabinets, things like that. I also meet with clients and actually interact with them and go over the return with them, and then do the e-filing with them when they meet with me in person and or occasionally over the phone if they can't make it in person.
Sounds like an impossible day. That's
Busy.
a lot.
Busy.
That's a lot.
Yep.
And when you say site, what do you mean by sites?
Well, we actually have multiple sites. Traverse City is kind of like our main site, but we have multiple sites in Northwest Michigan, though in those areas that are covered by NMCAA.
Yeah, so I think maybe some of that, just to give a little further to that, I think the sites, we've had Brittany on before to talk about Super Saturday. That was, I don't recall which episode,
Right.
but it's back a while. But we have sites where they're at like a couple of like the churches maybe, where they can drop taxes off.
I think Charlevoix is at a church.
Okay.
I think Petoskey is in our building.
Yes,
our
Petoskey's
office
in the building, and I think Cadillac's in our Marty Paul building.
Correct.
But we have different site locations where you can go to get your taxes
Hopefully that's
done.
a good little piece to clarify, because I was a little confused on what a site was.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that
and
out.
Benzie has one in a community center church.
It's either in the church or, yes.
Great.
Yeah. Yep.
That's great. And I think sites, I think places, I think people, and then
Right.
I think all the employees at NMCAA.
Yeah, absolutely. And Larry, you're a longtime volunteer and a big supporter of NMCAA. Can you tell us a little bit about why you do it? When I say big supporter, I see the back end of social media. So I see you liking all our posts. So thanks for that. But you volunteered with us for a very long time. Can you tell us about your time with NMCAA and why you continue to do it?
Wow. When I retired up here to Traverse City, I knew that I wanted to get into taxes. I studied with one of the major tax companies, and instead of hiring in with them, I saw a PSA for the volunteer agency, and I went in and we talked, and I've been there ever since. I started in 2009 for the 2008 tax program, and I've just enjoyed the challenge. I enjoy meeting with the people. Some of the things that Karen spoke about in her end of the business has to do with what we call drop-offs, where people can drop off their taxes. We have them done remotely. Karen then reviews them and meets with the client. I do in person, and that's very important for me. Getting to know the client, talking to the client. I think I get really good information that way, and I also get to know people from the social aspect of it. But I get a lot out of it, and it keeps me out of Florida in the wintertime.
Keeps me out. Well, you talked about the connection with people versus drop-offs. So the drop-off is really kind of less contact. It's a no muss, no fuss way-ish to do it. But what if somebody does need some help along the way? Could they get in front of somebody like Larry at that time, or how does that work?
Yeah, we do that frequently. Karen mentioned if she's got a question, she'll contact me, and sometimes I'll even meet with her and the client on a rare occasion. That's what is required.
Whatever's required. There's another
it's
thing.
pretty
the client,
individualized.
yeah.
We go through the packets when people drop them off to identify if we have all the information we need. If we don't, we contact them and help them understand what they need and how to get it. And then, like I said, it goes to a tax preparer. The preparers that are drop-off preparers have very little contact with the client, but then it will come back, and like I said, I'll follow up with them when we transfer.
Anecdotally, how often is a drop-off 100% ready to go?
I love this question.
It would be really nice if it was more often than it is, but we try.
Half?
Probably about, yeah.
I was going to say, I
half is
feel
better
like
than
I feel
I
like
thought it
I
would
don't
be.
even know sometimes like what all I need to include in my taxes.
Yeah.
So that's a great question. I love that. I love that you asked
I
that.
think you make a strong point. Many of our clients don't know what they don't know.
Right.
So by questioning them, talking to them, understanding their situation at home, we say, well, here's what you need. We also get situations, and I don't know if I'm going off topic here, where other parts of the agency, for example, one of our leaders will give me a call. She's got a client who's behind in their property taxes. They don't do taxes themselves. They don't have their taxes done because they don't have a filing requirement. They're just on Social Security. So our leader in that particular area calls me, what about the Michigan property tax credit? I meet with the client and we do 3 years of back taxes for them, and they're out of trouble. Mm-hmm. People don't know that they can get these credits. And that's why I think why we're doing the podcast. I think it's also why we do our business.
Yeah.
You know, I think about that 3 years of back taxes. Maybe this is just the heart ship in me coming out, but I think about the first peaceful night's sleep.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Once
Maybe
it's all
that's too
taken care of.
touchy-feely.
No, there are a lot of people who are, I don't know if you say intimidated or have a busy life, but we have lots of people that come to us with 2, 3, 4, years of back taxes. I'm not going to lie.
Wow.
And we try and help them overcome that. Harder to do in the 4 months before April 15th. Easier to do after April 15th. Just want to put that in there.
I want to let that sit for a second. But also, we've been dancing around this a little bit. Can you elaborate on this in general and just tell us why this particular tax program is so important to the communities?
Well, Eric at the beginning of the podcast talked about the amount of money that we bring into an 11-county service area. I thought you said $7 million. And these are to lower and middle income people. People will come in and, well, I don't even know why I'm here. I don't have to do taxes, but my neighbor says she gets some money back. And I sit down with her, and no, she doesn't have to do taxes, but we can get her.
Sometimes that's what you're starting with. You're starting with that.
Yes.
And you are getting them where they need to go.
My friend told me she's getting some refund back, and I thought I'd come here and see how we're doing.
Wow.
Just heard it through the old school grapevine.
Definitely.
That's
tremendous. And I would say, too, no guarantees, but more often than not, people are getting refunds. And it's always nice to be on the end of saying, and by the way, here's how much money you're going to get back, because people are very appreciative.
Are you noticing that individual, Larry, to your point, who came in just going, I heard, are you seeing them the next year? And is that maybe cascading, they're telling a family member, so maybe slow.
Absolutely.
So what you're doing is obviously caring enough and compelling enough, even if it's not a huge return, to go, let's just have this part of my annual routine.
Yep.
Yeah, that's very cool.
A lot of our clientele are single, dependents, whatever. Many of them, especially the older ones, well, I've never done taxes before. My husband always handled this. Yes. So we're there to help them.
And there could be some sensitivity there, thinking about better times, and you probably have some emotions that you have to deal with.
We certainly do. But if you can get through it, it just gives you a good feel.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So kind of shifting gears, I understand there's a big deadline coming up. And so either of you, can you tell us first what the home heating credit is, and then what's that deadline and why is it so important?
The home heating credit is a Michigan credit for lower income people that gives them a credit on their heating costs. If they have natural gas, they might get a credit on their DTE bill. If it's oil or propane, they'll get a voucher to help pay some of their fuel expenses, some of their heating expenses. It's extremely limited for lower income people. For a single person, you can't make more than $16,000. A family or two or three, it might go up to $20,000. It is for lower income people. But when we are doing your taxes and we see what your income level is, we immediately ask you, what kind of heat do you have? I burn wood. Okay, let's work that out. And they'll get a voucher that they can give their wood guy. It's not a lot of money, but it's a lot of money to the people who get it. And it's a help to the people who can receive it. And again, that's a Michigan refund. So when the people come to us, well, I don't have to file taxes, I'm just on Social Security. Yeah, but let's do your Michigan and see what we can get for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
It's also a little bit confusing, and so having somebody walk you through it is very helpful, because the time frame, you need a year's worth of heating bills, but it's not a calendar year. It actually is from November 1st of the previous year through October 31st of that tax year.
Sure.
And so that confuses a lot of people. We help them target that. And also sometimes your heating provider, if it's DTE or consumers, if you just call them, they know what that is and they have that number.
Sure.
But folks don't know that. And when you start explaining, oh, wait, I need 12 months worth of bills and it's not even a calendar year, that'll throw them off sometimes. So we help walk them through that a little bit.
Yeah.
That's absolutely correct. There's a little known piece of the tax law where we don't actually need their actual bills. We can give them what they call a standard credit, where they estimate what the average person who uses this type of heat might get, and they would get a credit for that. It's better to have the actual tax bill, but for the most part, we can do it for anybody in that particular income range.
It seems best to have somebody to tell you that.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I can't imagine how it feels to go in and to have somebody say, how do you heat your house? And be like, why does that matter? And then go, well, a little bit of money back. Oh, heck. And then maybe that opens their mind to go, maybe I should start looking into all these little things if you have time. Maybe 5 minutes on YouTube is spent better on a tax site.
Yeah.
You hear that, kids?
Well, let's get another fun tax fact. The IRS started during the Civil War. To cover Civil War expenses and to keep the Union and our military going, the U.S. government needed more money. To solve this problem, Congress created the Commissioner of Internal Revenue in 1862.
Wow.
So,
unique solution to a unique problem.
Yeah, right?
Karen and/or Larry, with the home heating credit deadline coming up and tax season really being more in the spring, do things slow down? What's the flow for you? And does it differ, Karen, Larry? Because you sound like you need 3 clones to operate what you need to do each day.
So I wanted to mention, and we kind of overlooked this a little bit, but the home heating credit deadline is September 15th for the 2023 tax year. So we need your information. We need to get it going by September 15th of 2024.
Yes, thank you for
Otherwise,
remembering.
that expires. So the pace of work is extremely busy from February 1st to probably the end of April, beginning of May. And that last month is a blur, I'm not going to lie. It is insane.
Wow.
And then it doesn't slow down really until May and beginning of June. Then it starts to slow down. And typically those are the folks I think that are a little bit behind. They're worried. They finally decided I better do this. And that's where we tend to get those multiple years of returns. And also our volunteers are off. So we get down to a much smaller crew during that time frame and a lot less people to help do the work. So we work through it. It's still busy, don't get me wrong, but we have less people. And our site's shut down too.
Right.
The only tax site that's actually open and has office hours or a person in the office to look at tax information and help provide services is Traverse City after about, I would say, mid-May.
Okay.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
And all the location information is always updated on the websites and the
it's all on the
individual pages. So it's
website.
always
Yeah.
good to check that if you're able.
Yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
definitely.
Wow, that sounds a lot. So how anticipatory can you be at times? You just said there's a couple of patterns you can expect, but do you get a couple of curveballs each year? Are you challenged by something new?
I think it's pretty routine, the work that we do. We do have a really solid base of volunteers like Larry who have been with the program. We are always looking for more volunteers to help with preparation and to help fill any gaps that we have. And we've been trying to increase the volume that we're doing. And so as we do that, and that's been an initiative in the last year or so. So as we do that, we're trying to get a feel for what capacity is and how many people we need to help get everything done in a timely manner.
Yeah.
In volunteering for Larry, do you only volunteer for a certain time in the year? Karen mentioned that the volunteers kind of dive off and the crew is down to a couple.
Yeah, typically we actually start doing returns the last week of January. It's when the IRS starts to accept returns.
Sure.
The deadline for federal is on or about the 15th of April. I personally will usually work through the end of April. Most of my colleagues, I think, do as well. But talking about, I think the word you used was anticipatory. Our program has really, really grown. I used to joke that all the returns we did in February are for people who get refunds. The returns we do in April
Sure.
are the people who owe money.
Fascinating.
And March was really slow. That's not the case anymore.
Okay.
We are busy for, 10 or 12 weeks. And
Yeah.
we're
Wow.
Just slammed.
I would actually also put out there that in-person appointments are done by appointment, where you meet with the tax preparer and go through all of your information. And we were probably booked up for the whole year by mid-March. So if people are looking for that service, you really should call and get on the appointment schedule, because it does come to a point where drop-offs are the only thing we can do to meet that deadline of April 15th. And hopefully we'll be able to have more appointments available a little bit later in the tax season, depending on how many volunteers and staff we have. But it is a busy time.
Wow.
Wow. That just reminded me too. I know I called this out last time we had the tax program on, but all NMCAA employees are eligible for the tax program.
They
as
very
well.
much are.
So that's a very cool thing that we offer to our employees.
And we do have a new staff person, Justin, who's working on marketing the program and reaching out to a number of local businesses and encouraging them to share information about our program so that their employees can consider also having their taxes done through
What do you think Justin's going to do with this episode?
Oh, Justin was the one who initiated this episode.
Oh my goodness.
And we've been, Justin
Give him
and
the
I've
props.
we've been working.
Can't wait to meet Justin. That is awesome.
We've been working together on some marketing things, so that's great. Let's do another quick tax fact. The IRS in 2022 filed close to 150 million returns and in the same year issued nearly 98 million refunds. I know our biggest push for tax season is right away in February, as you just stated, and we do an event called Super Saturday, or I think across the state, at least, it's the Show Me the Money Day. And so that's something I'm assuming that we're going to be doing again this year. It's been ongoing for, yeah. Can you just give us like a quick overview? What does that day kind of look like? I know we're not even close to doing Super Saturday at this point, but just kind of what does it look like?
And
what
do you
does
have
somebody
to pay
expect?
Tom Cruise to call it that?
No money to Tom Cruise.
Okay, cool.
But here in the Traverse City area, which is the only one that I've attended, I haven't been to other sites. But here in Traverse City, we work over at the Career Tech Center. We have a huge room. Lots and lots of computers, and pretty much every tax preparer that works for us is there or does taxes, prepares taxes for us. So it's a large room and a lot of preparers. And some people do appointments, but some we take as we can. And we have folks come in and their taxes are literally prepared right there on the spot. Yeah. I'm off to the side and doing reviews, and different people are doing different things. But the other good part about it is that there's also a whole separate area where you can learn more about NMCAA, the programs that we have, and you can kind of go around and visit different booths and get more information about our agency services too, which is really nice.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Larry, have you been to this Super Saturday? Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah, number 17's coming up.
Whoa. Okay. That's incredible. So if anybody wants to...
It's a fun day. It's very, very busy. We do our best to organize it, but
if somebody wants to like bring you snacks or something, they could do that? Like,
Well, actually...
How does somebody want to take care of this good-natured crew who is hanging out this day?
We are not allowed to take any payment for doing taxes.
That's fair. That's fair. That was a little intense.
However,
we do have
homemade cookies, white chocolate macadamia nut.
Okay, just if
will
we're
be accepted.
I like just putting that out into the universe. Thank you.
What does it take mentally to prepare for a Super Saturday for you, Larry? Like to prepare for like, oh my gosh, maybe it's not any different than a day to day for you.
Oh no, it's actually less stress. It's fun.
It's fun. It's a fun day. Okay.
No, I enjoy the day. That. There's a lot of people. As Karen mentioned, there's a lot of preparers. Some of them come in not only from our agency, but from AARP, who has a very, very similar tax preparation program. So we get volunteers from them. Some of the clients are brand new. Some of the clients have been coming for years, and they only come to Super Saturday. We'll get families in. You'll sit down, and I'll do mom's taxes. And, can you do my daughters? Or can you do my sons? I enjoy it.
I just want to kind of hang out at Super Saturday just to hang.
Yeah.
If I show an NMCAA shirt.
Let's do a live show from the Super Saturday.
Yahtzee. Now you're talking.
Larry, what does a volunteer need to do specifically if they were interested in volunteering? Who would they reach out to, or how would they get in contact with us?
Reach out to the agency, whether it's our Karen here or Brittany, but reach out to NMCAA. I'd like to volunteer to do taxes. Want to do it early enough because we will supply you with information documents. We do training. There's online training. There's in-person training in early January, I think. But you have to go through a certification process, so you're going to want to have time to study it. Now, most of the new volunteers that we get, and I'll ask him, why do you want to do this? Well, I've always done my own taxes. No reason why I can't do somebody else's. So we take that little bit of experience doing their own taxes and we expand upon it, and we go from there. And most of the volunteers we get, the new ones, will come back the following year and the following year and the following year.
Do we know an estimate on how many volunteers we typically or at least in the recent years? Is there
Well, at the Traverse City site,
guess?
we probably have about 8, and then the other sites probably 3 to 4, 5. I mean, I would say it's about 30. We did a volunteer appreciation celebration. There were quite a few people there. It might even be.
I did see the pictures from that. You're right. There was a pretty good group there.
There was.
Now that you mentioned that, I remember that picture.
And I want to elaborate on the fact that because it's in, I think, kind of how the original question is phrased, these volunteers don't need to be trained professionals who served in a financial career for 40 plus years, which I kind of thought would be the case. I thought maybe anybody who didn't have any knowledge would be out of the running, but it sounds like you're open to people who have a little bit of knowledge and are trainable.
We do have some volunteers who have done this on a professional level. Okay.
I bet there's a high amount. I'm guessing you don't have to say.
The individual who really started this program 20 years ago is a retired IRS auditor. He was my mentor. They sat me right next to him my first year. I always tease him. He taught me everything that I know, but he didn't teach me everything that he knows. He might know some of those 700,000 pages. But no, because we are focused on individual taxes and people who have done their own, and the IRS training for federal income taxes is pretty decent, and the testing is pretty decent. And when you get through that, you can pretty much start out. The fortunate part that we have when we do in person and we work in a group of 3 or 4 volunteers in the same room, and we're very, very open to, hey, Joe, I've got this situation here. Can you help me out? And we work with each other. We have reference materials. We can look it up, which is what we should do. But the individual contact with people of varying levels of experience is extremely helpful and stress reducing.
Yeah, to
Very
know
cool.
that somebody else, you can reach out to them. I'm reaching out to Larry a lot by text message and what have you. You know, here's what I think. Am I on the right path and that kind of stuff. I also wanted to say we have a retired air traffic controller. We have a gal who currently works at one of the hospitals. I mean, we have a variety of different people.
This is probably stress relief for them.
I agree with
the
that.
nicest thing that they do, because
agree.
we talked about, and not trying to blow up your spot, Larry, but like, what do you do for fun? And he looked me in the eye and he said, taxes. And I think that's what you want, because when Larry's not here and he is enjoying Florida, this is how a Larry drawer happens, and the customized request, not trying to prophesize, but I think, you know, his name may rise a little bit with the show being released. But again, anybody who would like to reach out and volunteer who has those qualities can reach out and be connected with somebody to talk to at least about it.
Right.
And
get a feel for
come
it.
prepared with a couple of questions, maybe. Would you recommend a couple of questions that somebody have?
I don't know about a
Time required, things
Oh,
like
yeah,
that,
right,
where
right.
maybe people get surprised.
And it's pretty
or,
flexible. They can make their own schedule as a volunteer.
Oh.
So it's very flexible. And I would say it's something to do in the dull winter months of northern Michigan, okay? Get you out of the house.
good point. I was going to make the same point. We've got some that'll work 1 or 2 days a week. I had one a few years ago. He would work 3 mornings a week.
right.
But yeah, anything you can do to come in, and we will use you.
Larry's a 5-day-a-week guy, but that's what he wants, you know.
Right.
That's
Right.
him. Yep.
Great.
Tax nerd.
Hey, if you enjoy it,
Exactly. And
There's
again,
nothing wrong with that.
I would want somebody who enjoys doing it a little bit, doing mine.
yeah, absolutely. Sign me up for Larry's team. So we had mentioned back taxes a little bit. You said like 3 to 4 years. So what would be considered back taxes at this point? And I'm assuming we can only go a certain number of years back. Is that just to clarify for everyone? Because I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, federal will go back 3 years. And of course, we're past the 2023 deadline. And I think the deadline for all taxes is April 15th. So if I wanted to do 2020 taxes that were due in April of 2021, by April of 2024, I can't do back taxes for them anymore.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
We will go back further, particularly if they're entitled to a refund, and see
So
what
special cases
and see
and-
what the IRS will do.
Wow. That's wonderful to know that you have their back and will
If
go a
they-
little extra mile.
If they owe money, the IRS is going to catch up to them. So let's get them done, and we'll work on that.
So it's time to call out some milestone career achievements. In September, we have a lot of reason to celebrate.
This is a big list. Sorry,
it
I
is
have a big smile.
It is a big list. We have 8 employees celebrating 5 and 10-year anniversaries. So celebrating 5 years, we have Katrina Comstock, Alexandria Vanderwater Taylor, Tracy Kroll. I hope I said that one right.
that's right.
Nicole Gonzalez. And then celebrating 10 years with NMCAA, we have Marissa Larson, Susan Krauth, Mary Phillips. And these are all the previous names have been with our Child and Family Development. And we have one other celebrating 10 years, Kimberly Chrysler, and she's with our Homeless Prevention Department.
That is awesome.
We want to thank all of them for their hard work and everything they do to support our community and our neighbors.
Cheers.
Yeah.
NMCAA is also still taking interest forms for child and family development programs, including Head Start. Go to nmcaa.net to fill out an interest form today. So as we approach the end of the show today, Karen, this is the hardest hitting question that we have for you.
Okay.
If you had one unlimited wish, realistic or not, unlimited wish for the tax program, what would it be and why?
I think that, well, it's a combination. I guess I would start with more tax preparers and more people bringing their taxes in so that we can help them get them done and it doesn't cost them anything.
Great wish.
Okay, easy wish. More.
Sorry.
You're asking for more and
A
more.
one-word
we
wish.
want to help you, even if it's a 50-50 drop-off situation.
Of course.
I think
yes,
that's
we
our
do.
first
That's a really
one word
doable
answer.
Yeah, more.
More. Okay, Larry, here's your hard-hitting question. If you could share one thing about volunteering, what would you want people to know about volunteering?
Makes you feel good.
It makes you feel good.
Yep. Making
good.
up for past sins.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I get that.
Good. Yeah, I get it too.
They talk about paying it forward. It makes you feel good, being able to help people.
Can take more endorphins any time of the day.
Yeah.
Especially if it's easy and fun for you.
All right, let's
Not
go.
necessarily easy.
It's
Oh, yeah.
time for Ryan's take.
All right. Sitting here, I am once again moved by the tenure and longevity of not only the staff, but the volunteers at NMCAA. I think NMCAA surrounds itself with really good people and gets really good people to stay with them. And it takes the kind of leadership and intensity that Larry has. And I'm not being flippant here, but like he really loves what he's doing. And I'm sure he's a great ambassador for other people. So I think cheers to NMCAA for cultivating a volunteer like Larry and Karen for cultivating a culture that is solving a really hard problem.
It is. And I just want to add, I worked for NMCAA in the 90s in the Head Start program. And then through different career situations, I ended up in Grand Rapids for almost 30 years, but moved back to Traverse 18 months ago to be closer to family. In that situation, when I started thinking, I might want to do something this winter, I went back and looked specifically at NMCAA situations to see what volunteer and job postings they had, because I already knew the agency and knew it was a really great place to be.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Yes,
adding that
thank
in
you.
there. Love your take as well.
Oh,
Ryan.
thank you. Yeah, it was an easy one to share.
Yeah, easy. Karen and Larry, thank you so much for being our guest on today's episode. We really appreciate both of you taking the time out of your schedules to be here today.
Thank you both very much for your
Yes.
expertise, your stories, and your joy.
Yes.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
If you enjoy listening to today's podcast and would like to become a sustaining donor with a recurring gift or contribute a one-time donation, please check out nmcaa.net/donate and type Collective Us Podcast in the special instructions. If you're a business and would like to sponsor the Collective Us, please send us an email at collectiveuspodcast@nmcaa.net and put sponsor in the subject line.
As always, don't forget we'd like to share your community stories. So if you have a story to share, send us an email at collectiveuspodcast@nmcaa.net. And if you enjoyed today's podcast, please share this episode or the show link on social media. Follow the podcast to know when a new episode drops and rate the show. It truly helps us continue to get the word out on all the good NMCAA does in the community.
And if you'd like to learn more about Northwest Michigan Community Action Agency or the programs we offer, would like to make a donation, We encourage you to reach out at 231-947-3780 or visit our website, nmcaa.net. And to the collective today, we encourage you to continue to strive each day to do something to help yourself or your neighbors.